in himself was a very strong personality, and he's just s giving you that strength so that you can, know that your thinking with kindness, I'm gonna add, you know, can persevere through so much, and you're a very gifted woman, and it's time to persevere, my dear. You're doing a good job. Oh, he wasn't in your mom's life. You know, yeah, that's probably why I didn't feel like he didn't give your mom much love. There's, let's see, let me get clarity on that. Because sometimes I get a snapshot. Uh, so yeah, he ended up having decisions made for him that didn't allow that, didn't he? He, there was miscommunication and something happened that he wasn't able to be there. Accident, possibly, or there's something that went on there. But that was then. He just wants you to have the conversation with yourself about how, he's helping you with support. Okay.
Very good. And that, let's see. I think that everything. I think we're
And
caught up.
Kayla May, grandmother, great.
And a few puppies. And a few puppies. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Let's see. Yeah, pretty. It was a pretty bad story that she's going to tell you sometime
Yeah.
about what happened back then. It's interesting that in previous generations we find out, and a lot of times we find. Oh, Sue has them with her. She's got puppies. I she's got puppies.
Oh. This is the way today's gone. It's like, really? Okay, let's just roll with it.
Yep. I don't know. But what I was gonna say was it's just interesting that previous generations that we used to think we held our grandparents and great grandparents and stuff in some sort of esteem. It turns out
Oh.
that they were as flawed individuals as we are.
Oh, that ain't the story. That ain't the story. That yeah, he was great love. He was a product of the time and product of his upbringing and a product of cause and effect of that time. And yeah, you know, men of that time, my love goes to them because they were pigeon-toed into a lifetime of doing things that half of them didn't have any choice, and it was pretty sad how and then women didn't have any voice really of a lot of that timeline, and it's interesting how when we're so out of control, we feel like we need to over control, and so that was the product of a time. How out of control we are with decisions being made that we control everything else. And the children had the ripple effect of that.
It's a sad thing because like my parents are a really pretty good example. I interviewed my dad shortly before he passed and asked him what his passion was, and he said, "What?" I said, "What's your passion? What did you really want to do in life?" And he said, "I don't understand the question." And he said, "I did what I was expected to do. I did
Mhm.
what I had to do. I was married to a lady for 50 years that I wasn't particularly in love with. I had 3 kids that I didn't really want to have them around because I worked 6 days a week and I wanted some private time." So, and he was a wonderful man, but he had problems, and that's a shame. But that's why I treat my life the way I do, and
Mhm.
follow my passion because I'm not going to let that happen to me.
Yeah, and that's the fine line between, that I'm grateful that this generation has choices in a way. you know?
Much more than previous
Mhm.
generations. You're right. Well, Grandma, and Susan says, to continue, Grandma was mentally ill, was a lesbian, and wanted a kid. Kicked him out after Mom was 2. So, by the way, happy Pride Month to your grandmother, and
Yes.
stuff, and but those things happen.
Yeah, they do, and that timeline, nobody really gave credit to anybody's personal belief system besides if you went to church and you were, as of this church or as of that church, or you weren't of any church, or you were of this belief system or that political system, and it was of a system that you had to be a part of, and if you had any personal choices, and that's I know that as we work through that mental illness, sometimes we find out that we aren't what we thought we were and what we wanted. And it's sad that because your grandfather was a very loving man. I feel like he actually is saying that I wanted to love even if she didn't want to love me, but yet at the same time, and your mom would have probably been a little bit different if your grandfather was in her life more. And but at that time, there wasn't it was, like my grandfather. He had kids by a previous marriage, ended up marrying my grandmother, and didn't really see his children because it was as of the marriage before. And that was part of the system. And I just pray for kindness now. Can we
Well,
have
yeah,
love? Can we have kindness? Can we have something bigger than just I'm in of this system, I'm of that system, I'm of this belief system, Pride Month. My youngest child is transgender, binary, and e- there's just this moment where she's finally finding herself, and yes, she goes by she. She has told me that that's her pronoun, and so that it's like she's finding love for herself finally, and what a gift. If somebody goes through that, and I know some people decide that they're transgender, then they decide not that they're not, but sometimes we have to go through a process to find it. Like I just did a video last night about how sometimes we have to go down to come back up again. We have to go somewhere to find out about ourselves, find out something about ourselves to come back up. Kind of like yesterday, I was kind of having a little funk. There again, a little bit of probably the grief of Monday. And, it was like, why am I being overlooked? Well, as soon as I said that, I went back to a time when I pictured myself on the playground. I loved football when I was younger. I still like football, but I enjoyed playing football with the kids, my classmates, and I was always half the time I wasn't even picked. A couple of games, I was actually the stick that shows where the first down is.
you were the first down marker. Yeah, but you see, you have to see, now these are kids. You have to understand, Natasha. You were a girl playing football, and those two things.
No, I was one of many girls playing football.
Oh, really? I've never been exposed to that.
So with that, well, I was in a private school, so it was a smaller school, so we all had to get along. Um, and so with but then I was like going, overlooked. Ah, as a kid, I was overlooked. Bring that part of me up to being this adult who's now speaking a truth. And I'm not speaking the truth. Actually, when I speak love, I'm speaking the truth. But a truth is a perspective that I'm wanting to give you and support you in your life. So with that I'm bringing this girl up to be this person that we want to be, so I don't have to feel like I'm overlooked anymore, because I'm not. It was just one of those moments where that dark whisper came in, so I had to pick something up to bring it into light to move it forward.
You have to know that you're never overlooked. Somebody is going to always love you. Oh,
Mhm.
Kayla was a girl who played football and baseball and softball. That's just, there's something wrong with that picture. I'm sorry. You know, you gotta understand. I played football. I was an all conference player, and but that's a story for another time.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
Um,
I get it. I get it that, we have these different abilities. Women's bodies are made a certain way, men's bodies are made a certain way, and I get that sometimes things are a little bit different playing one than the other, but then, you know, some of us on opposite sides of the bed are better at what we do. I know some men that are better cooks than than women. There's some that take better care of their kids than women. And, it's like, and there's some guys that do some more, who are better at, at decorating than women, just these scenarios that we put on each other that it's like,
you see, Natasha, a subject like that, I was fully prepared to make several inappropriate comments where our female listeners would come out and have me shot. I'm not going to, even though I would just be kidding, because I truly believe that women should be paid exactly the same as men. That most of the women that I know are
Mhm.
capable and experienced and have got wonderful hearts, wonderful souls, and a lot of the men I know still have their knuckles dragging on the ground. But that's a story for another time.
That is, yeah, and but that's I know a lot of women that are the same way too. So it's like, it's all perspective. Our soul is where it's supposed to be, no matter what we other people believe that. Our soul is where it's supposed to be, learning what it's supposed to be. If that means caveman, that means caveman. If that means being a millionaire, that's a millionaire. It's all in this lifetime's application of what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to get out of it? What is this here to teach me?
Well, and Kathy's says, aha, a subject so close to my heart. Any insights from, I don't know who KGD or KDG is, but you must.
I right now, sweetie, I even if I did, I am in a different mode than that application. So I apologize. It's kind of like dialing into multiple AM and FM radio stations. And I'm dialing into the main one right now.
Well, maybe she clarifies
I
what
would hope so. I would hope so. Uh,
KGD means. It doesn't matter. She'll. Oh,
gotcha.
oh, so she's playing games with us now, is she?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. But so that's kind of fun. I like the fact that this audience is feeling comfortable enough to become very interactive.
I am grateful too, because that's the thing is that there's things that I can say, yet at the same time, we're all going through something. So if you guys have questions, please, please put it in. That that as we go forth in life, this is part of the dance. No, my daughter. So, subject is close to my heart. Any thought, insights on? Okay. So, thank you for fine tuning me in. And I know that you can understand that the radio station thing, because you're very intuitive yourself. Like all of us right now, she's going through major life altering experiences and feeling a little unsettled, like her feet are coming out from underneath her a little bit, and I'm gonna say that a lot of us are, and that as she's walking forward, she's really finding out that what she thought isn't necessarily what she's kind of coming up with right now, because her truth is getting realigned and it's not very comfortable for her. And so she's kind of lashing out a little bit with the world around her. Um, and it's interesting to navigate through life that way.
And Susan says having a soul perspective has helped me so many times in life,
Hmm.
which is really good to have that perspective. I struggle with that because having your soul's perspective. Number one, how do you know it's your soul? And not somebody on your shoulder. How do you know that what it's saying is accurate and correct and all that kind of stuff? I guess you just have to sit down and meditate. How do you do it? How do you discern what's real and what's not in that sphere of talking about your soul and stuff?
Okay, so this is something that from day one, and I know I've said this before, I remember being born. So that my soul connection with me in this lifetime has been there since I mean, before my life. And so with that being a baby, I've always had that soul perception. In other words, like when my mom picked me up out of a crib and I was I couldn't even hold up my head, but yet I saw my mom through my eyes. Now, why would I remember that as a brain? My soul remembered that. And so there's this understanding of my soul having awareness. It's actually one that has guided me through my life. It's one of my main voices in my being that I hear. And I have an understanding that when the soul talks to you, there's no greater love that will talk to you. No greater love. Except for when you hear direct from the light of love. It's the spark that you came from. That there's no greater moment of love than the soul speaking to you. So it will always speak to you with the grace.
I guess
Like the image that I got going back to me standing on the playground playing football and being overlooked. That to me was my soul going back to that moment saying, here, it's time for us to evolve a little bit bigger, a little bit different. It's time for us to move forward. And it's always going to do that with grace. It's always going to do that with love. And so if you have that voice in your head that's saying, "Oh, come on, we can do it. Oh, come on." Or you get that feeling that just look at one more thing. Just look at one more thing. That feeling, that calling and it comes from it's not a mind thing. It's a if you notice where my hands are, it's coming from that being of you. That's your soul. Now when your higher self talks to you, it's almost a different language, and for me, and I can only speak for me, that higher self speaks more. It's more coming from upper. It's not a lower. The soul for me speaks here. The higher self speaks more here, and it's quicker. It's not so evolved. It's a quicker chatter to me.
so. Which part is your consciousness?
My consciousness is the part of me that holds, I don't want to call it the Akashic records, but it's kind of like the Akashic records.
So when you die, does your consciousness go with you?
The part of the soul. So there's a consciousness of the mind and there's a consciousness of the soul. And so when they separate because the body goes, so it's almost like the download from the mind over. But the mind keeps a consciousness, a memory, and the soul keeps a memory, a consciousness. And so the soul always has a consciousness of going from on and on and on.
That's interesting. So anyway, Susan says she knows her soul from Natasha. I guess that would be you, and or from the work she's done with hypnosis.
Yeah, but there was a one before that. Having soul's perception helped. Yeah, there we go.
Having soul's perspective helped me so many times in life.
Yeah, and then from Natasha and or hypnosis.
and
Yeah.
and that and that's why I was curious to know the soul's perspective, because for me, and it must be different. I don't have multiple voices in my head. I've got several that are, well, I take that back. I do too, but it differentiates itself with, this is when I talk about passion, when I talk about what I'm trying to do, when I'm working to do, that's my soul talking.
Yeah, that's your full soul consciousness. That is your soul calling. That is your soul being. And when you go into hypnosis, when you go into meditation, when you go into that moment of just speaking in spirit, spirituality, spirit, consciousness, love, that is that moment where your soul consciousness, your soul is speaking to you. Now your mind consciousness will have the, okay, I need to make sure that I do XYZ in order to get myself going forward.
See, my mind consciousness is like, no, you can't do that because your mom says you never could. You're not quite smart enough to be able to do that. And so there's this thing going on. This not a war, but this thing that going. Let's see what does Kayla May have to say for herself. Our souls always live on I believe just in a different time, places, and
Oh
events.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. No, it's the soul keeps walking
It
to
could.
whatever journey it wants to be on. Like my dad lived this lifetime, now he's being he's busier than he was ever on this planet, going from different places, he's one of those angels that just does supporting roles. When somebody needs help coming out of their body, he'll help them. If somebody needs information from here to there, he'll be one of the informational getters. And so with that we have these soul things, and that's why we have a conscious soul, awake soul, so that as soon as we transition, things start happening. Without that connection, without that soul being awake, we wouldn't have these quick moments where we can support ourselves or pick up from where we were. There's sometimes where things happen to us and something picks us up and gets us moving again. Well, that's our soul. It's like, me when my mom was with Lou Gehrig's disease, and I said, God, if you put my feet on the ground, I'll do the rest of the day. My soul basically got myself out of bed, did my half of my day before my brain said, oh, my conscious brain said, oh, well, it's already lunchtime and I guess I've done half the day, because I don't remember what I did that morning. But my soul consciousness did what I needed to do.
I don't think that I could put it into more succinct terms than this next quote, which is, my mind tells me to eat nachos, and that's not healthy for me at all, because that's her mind saying, boy, what a plate of nachos sound really good with some
Mhm.
cheese sauce and some meat but it's not good for it. But we do that all the time anyway. Uh,
Actually, that is also your taste buds. That's probably also a part of your inner child. That's also part of, there's a lot of things that come into a process of a desire, or a want. And so checking in with those parts of us that say, I really want, especially if we kind of get that, but I really want it. Well, that's more of your inner child.
that's when you were 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
4, 5,
or
10.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. 12,
that's when you
21.
well we all
47.
yeah, we all have moments in time where things just, it sounds good. So, hey, one of mine is chicken wings. Love chicken wings. Can't get enough of chicken wings, but I can because they're not very healthy
Mhm.
at the same time. So which is really good. We're having a fine discussion with everybody here. I'm thankful that everybody is joining in and playing along with our little game here because it's fun.
Yes.
Um,
So, like, Sue says that she connects with her higher self, in meditation and hypnosis. Yes, many of us do that. It is about getting quiet. Now, for me, since the way that I navigate, I get things quickly. No definition on if I'm better than you. I'm just practice. That highway is just more practice than somebody else. So for me, when I meditate, it almost slows down my my knowings. And so, but if I meditate with others, it's a quicker road for me, so I can get there easier. I have a lot of mind chatter and meditation. Even Jesus, one time I was trying to meditate, and Jesus walked into my meditation and he says, Natasha, just give it up. It's not for you today.
Well, that
I
there
went, thank you, Jesus. I appreciate you supporting me and my struggles to figure out how to be this thing that I was told I probably could be. But I also take time before I get out of a car sometimes. I take time when I'm walking, like when I'm done here, I'll take time walking out of this room. I'll take time walking and getting the dog into the I may even take time a little bit, walk out and sit down in a chair and listen, sit in the sun for a moment. I may not meditate, but I'll be in a moment. I'll make sure that I'm in that moment observing what's around me so that I can listen and hear differently. And then if I need right now I need to check in with my fairies. And so with that I'll try to go to the where I feel connected with them and go talk with them, especially the ones that are in my home helping me do things right now. In other words, I had not second time this month I can't find my glasses.
by the way, I must be hungry because I thought you said I'm going to have chicken with my fairies, but apparently what you said was I'm going to check in with my fairies.
I'm gonna check in with my fairies, but I'm gonna have chicken for dinner. I made a chicken the other night, and it's gonna finish up tonight. So,
Well, very good, very good. I'll be up.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting how we're all checking in, but there was something that came to me that I really wanted to make sure that it's kind of hitting right now that we see someone like me who's connected and can connect, and then you'll see somebody else that is differently connected, and you'll see somebody else who has a life that maybe is very prosperous. And you might see somebody else that can do this better or that better. And we say, I want to be that person. We can't be that person. But the one thing I like to do is that when I know someone is getting on a roll, I say, can I get onto can I get onto that energy field? Can I get on that moment? And when I get on that, and the one thing that I got, there's a moment in the Finding Nemo, Finding Nemo, Dory, and she hooks up with I forget the name of the turtle, and they get on the express energy. What was it that it's the ocean stream?
Kayla will know. She's got a 3-year-old daughter.
But it's on the stream, where they don't hardly have to swim because it's basically it propels them. So, in other words, it's
Oh, the
not
jet stream.
the jet stream. Yeah, that's the air, but it was in the water. So, like the jet stream, that there's a flow that we don't have to be like somebody else, but we can get on the jet stream. We can get in that flow and the ocean current. Yeah, but there was a name for it. Thank you, Sue. That if we get in that, we can get into our calling, our soul's knowings, our soul wants for us, and we can get into that flow. So instead of saying, I want to be like them, say, I want to be on the energy that they're riding with so that I can be with that energy flow to bring things towards me. And when we can do that, then we get in that collective of their energy and the other energy that we're supposed to pick up and get those little pieces and nuggets for for what we're doing. And it's just interesting when we can do that because somebody else's story is theirs, but if we can just pick up on the energy field, that's when we can get amazing application to our life.
And by the way, Susan says you were born open, chica. Is that your nickname, by the way? Is Chica your nickname? Oh, we're going to make her spit up her nose if we're not careful. I do much better with a a guided meditation. Not so much sitting with my eyes closed for 20 minutes. And that's probably true.
Sue
Uh,
and I, when she comes to me to have a meditation, it's amazing where we go and who comes. It's just I love doing meditations with people because it's amazing the beings. that come, and it's it just wow. I I get something out of them every time too, because I'm partnering with you. I'm on the energy field of your meditation. And so I get to see what you're seeing in a way because they're showing me my movie, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I do want to bring up one important factor about that because I've been around spiritual people and doing a lot of work for like 18, 20 years. And be careful that the person that you think that you are looking up to is actually the person who deserves to be looked up to. And it's not a facade, it's not a fakeness. So, what I suggest you do is to go out to lunch with them and see how they treat the waitress.
Ah, mhm. That's very true. And that's why I'm saying you don't want what they have. You just wanna have the energy field of the flow, like the air current, or, a good windstorm takes you someplace. Just go with that, and it's amazing how I want somebody who can come into my life to support me and get me moving too. It's the two. It's not about being them, because there's I'm going to say this with love. There's a whole lot of spiritual people that aren't very spiritual. And there's a whole lot of people that we put on pedestals that actually should be right off their pedestal because of our snapshot perception of who they are.
Just a real quick story. There was a guy that came on my radio show on KKNW. I'm not going to say his name, but
Please
he
don't.
he acted as this real spiritual guy. He was a human behavioralist, and he said that he knew a lot of stuff. And he talked the game. He talked a really good game. And so I went in down to Ashland, Oregon, to see Neil Donald Walsh, Marianne Williamson, and a bunch of other spiritual people. And I was going to interview them. And while we were there with a group of like 7 or 8 people, and he was nasty to most of the group that he was with. He was not kind. He was not caring. So everything that he had said on the radio show was absolutely a facade. And so you just need to be careful that there are people out there that you put on a pedestal. And Natasha's absolutely right. You put on a pedestal, they don't need to be there. They shouldn't be there. You should be there instead of them. So there.
Mhm. Exactly. Well, and anytime somebody tries to put me on a pedestal, I say, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. No, 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 no. I am just as human. And if you watch my posts and you watch my videos, you'll see that life happens to me just as much as it happens to everybody else. And I just do my better. I try to do my better walking through it. But like, there's been a couple times I've told the kids, I know you're grumpy right now, but I'm just right there with you, and I'm going to try to do my better. How about you try to do your better too, and we'll do our better together. It's like, let's try to just do better today, and that's all we can do is try to do better for today.
So we're all fundamentally human with our
Mhm.
unique shortfalls and amazing gifts. Very
Yes.
well said, Kathy.
Yes, 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 yes. That's why I started giving these kids that are struggling with reading the flubble. You know, it's like tripping over a rock. Oops, I tripped over a rock. I guess I need to be more paying attention to what I'm doing here. Sometimes we have flubbles to wake us up so we can be where we're at. They're not mistakes. They're just okay. I need to be a little bit more here.
And I think Susan has hit the nail on the head a little bit. Unfortunately, several spiritual people are predators and
Mm,
have big time issues. They don't resonate with me, and I tend to move on from them quickly. That is really an important point because when they start asking for money and they are a predator and that they're speaking the line. I had another guy that was on KKNW that said when because my show was kind of like his, he said, there's only so many people that are going to listen to this shit.
mhm,
That was the end of his I knew from that point on that he was not genuine.
mhm.
It was all a shtick.
It was all a shtick. Yeah. And that's one thing that I hope that anybody who listens to me, if you started out listening to me, if you look at any of my videos on my YouTube channel, from back even 3 years ago, I have always been this. There was one time in this last year that my integrity was challenged, to wake me up to make sure I was walking it. I totally got that. And I had a couple people who said, "Your integrity, your integrity, your integrity. Do they know what they're talking about? Because if they know you, they wouldn't even be questioning your integrity. Because that's who I. When I say I hold lack of judgment towards people, it's because I've lived it in a past life. How can I judge it if I've already lived it? And so with that I hold care, I hold love, because that is who I want to be for those people around me. I may sometimes be a little human doing it, like if I've had a long day, I might be a little short and not so, careful, but yet at the same time, I do try to be that greater person through those moments, to be who I want, that's who my soul is. My soul. I walk my soul's path.
And Kathy says the predators play a part also.
Mhm.
Got a couple of days? I could tell you 11 years worth of stories. She was a publisher of a metaphysical magazine for 11 years. Sometimes the lesson is, gee, you're a guru. Um, Natasha, what metaphysical magazine did she do?
Voice of choice. Yes, voice of choice.
Oh, you almost bought advertising for me. I did Positive Talk Radio
Yes.
way
So
back.
she thought she knew you. So with that everybody in our life, if I can give you anything for today, everybody, everything, every moment of our life, there's something here to teach us. So if we have something negative that happens to us, perceived negative, turn around. What is this here to teach me? Move it forward. Like for me, when my integrity was challenged, if you go back actually a couple of videos, it was back a couple months, you would see me after that moment when my integrity was was challenged. That was the one where I went from a meeting and sat right down here, and I had a few tears coming down. That did I really though go in I struggled with victimhood for a few minutes, but there's always that moment. What was this here to wake me up to? Oh, I was supposed to draw a line, draw a line in communication of where it was at. There was things I had to help the system where I was at to get a cleaner line, because things need to be straightened out. And that whole moment helped things straighten out, because how I walked the path of integrity. And I'm not patting myself on the back. People told me this.
Exactly. And Kathy says she must be talking about you, because she says, gee, you are you, guru.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy has been a gift for me, and we being in the spiritual platform that we are, that we connect with each other when we need somebody who we could just say, girl, this is what I gotta say, and I don't need anybody else to know what I'm saying. So here it is. I'm laying it out for you. Thank you for listening, because sometimes we just need someone who can understand the off the wall statements that we need to make.
And boy, everybody's excited about being involved. A life doesn't happen to me, it happens
Happens
for
for
me, as
Mhm,
Susan says. Not always easy, but walking the path as much as possible. Good for you.
mhm. And that's exactly it, that perception, 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 I cannot say that enough. Perception is huge. And I had a coworker who was struggling one day, and I said, "Sweetie, think gratitude. Go to something grateful. What are you grateful for?" 'Cause you can't be upset, you can't be angry if you finding something with gratitude. And she says, "You're right. Thank you. I needed that change in perception to help support the shift that she was needing to go through."
Yeah, and I think Kathy's got a great point here too. The concept is the guru is you, each of us
Mhm.
inside.
Yes.
I think that's very wise.
We all have this part of us, our soul, the guru, the soul, that knows what to do. So if we walk it and know it in a way of just say, and that's part of the being, capital B, capital E, capital ING. that if we're being, that's the soul's walk, and that is part of that guru walk. That's the you, that's the me, that's the us. That's the everything, because we're in the moment. It's like today, as much as I was having kids around me, I looked up at the sky and saw, the clouds that were so beautiful. And the way that the sun was just on the edge of the clouds. And I was thinking, isn't it amazing how something is just sometimes on the edge of just happening and we navigate it? We just got to believe that it's right there, because it is many times right there. It's that walking forward perception. Life is happening for me. I'm going to be able to navigate this. What is my next stance? Where am I going to go with this? And it's just amazing what we can do.
It's fun to think about living your life and living it every day and being excited about what's going to happen next
Hmm.
and not be in fear of it, but know it. And it's going to
Hmm.
be cool.
Yes.
That's what makes it fun.
Every time I really go back to the statement that this next moment is the next thing I'm going to write in the book of my life. Do you want a tragedy? Do you want a, slash murder mystery? Do you want a drama trauma? Do you want something that has a little bit more grace and ease? Do you want to have something that has light and kind of that romantic love story? It's not necessarily that you have to have a partner. It's that and romance is with us. Can we find grace with our life? Can we find romance with the things around us? Can we walk outside and get the romance with the sun and just feel that warmth? There's that dance of, can we find something that has gifts in our life? Because that's going to bring us around to our greater good.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know what? You're getting the cards out, which means we're getting close to the end. So
Yes, yes, it's already 4:59.
I know.
I
Yeah.
I I love doing this. This is my soul moment. So thank you for being here with us. Everyone, thank you for being here with us, because this is my soul calling. So thank you for being in this journey with me.
It makes her happy, happy, happy.
It does. It brightens my day. I mean, it gives me joy when a kid sits in front of me and says, "I can," and they feel that joy inside. That is, this moment is that. It's that ah. So I'm going to ask the fairies. This is Doreen Virtue's fairy deck, and I'm asking the fairies, what can you tell us that can support us in our next days? Support us in our next days. Support us in our next days. I hear giggling. So, in other words, it's time to giggle more. It's time to find those things that giggle more. Like my kids, when they knew I was down, they would turn on the Carol Burnett show with Tim
Tim
Conway,
Conway.
and their names just popped out of my head. I was in this mode.
Harvey Korman.
Harvey Korman and the dentist. It just, how can you not laugh? And I know for me, the fairies were asking me to put on music because they know that's when my soul dances.
By the way, a side story about that: Harvey Korman actually peed his pants during the shooting of that.
Bet he
He
did.
was
I bet
laughing
he did.
so
How
hard.
could he not? How could he not? You can just Google, or on just Facebook, just look up Carol Burnett show, Harvey Korman.
The thing is titled "The Dentist." The other one that you need to look at is the blooper for the elephant story
Oh, yes.
with Tim Conway.
Woo! That one, they end up on for another one is the military, the one where that they're in the scene, and Harvey Korman keeps walking by the picture or by the opening. And then the other one is where Harvey Korman goes around on the carousel, like the dry cleaner carousel, and and every time Harvey Korman is trying to put on his mustache and he can't because he's laughing so heavy because he's saying his skit is that he has to get out on stage and he can't get ready because he's laughing so hard. But they used to have a bet. How fast can Tim Conway crack up Harvey Korman?
It was a game they played,
It
and
was a game they played and it worked out good.
yeah. So if you get a chance, look at those because, like Kathy says, the elephant skit was just
Oh, it's yeah, it's undeniable. What I still can't figure out what she said. What's her name? Not Carol Burnett, but the other. I know her name, but she was Mama at the time, and she said
right.
something to Dick Van Dyke that put him on the floor, and I still can't turn it up to hear what she said.
She said, "Are you ready?"
Yes, please.
Because Carol Burnett said they were playing a game of charades, and Carol Burnett they never could get the card read, and they
Yeah,
tried and tried and tried, and they couldn't get it read. And then Carol Burnett finally looked at her and said, "Here, Mama, read the card." And she said, "Are you sure that little asshole's done?"
I knew it was something like that. I knew
Yep.
it was something like that. Yeah, the draped dress. When she wore the draped dress, and that
She was Scarlett O'Hara.
yeah, that one's a good one because Harvey Korman ended up on the floor that time too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
see,
we
this
did.
is where I can multitask. I can do two things at the same time. So I'm picking cards at the same time. That's called fairyland. Is that when you can multitask and enjoy and giggle. See, that's what fairies like us to do. Just have a little bit more fun. So maybe now that I'm getting a different perspective, they may bring back my glasses. I'm kind of hoping that. People just laugh at me. They go, "Are you that unorganized?" And I'm like going, "No. My husband said that my glasses were on the counter all weekend. Monday morning they weren't." But I found the paper I was looking for 3 weeks ago that I looked in that bag 3 times for. I think I have a case of the fairies. Okay, so the first card I picked was connect with nature. Oops, I got a glare, sorry. Where is the glare gone? There we go. Connect with nature. So we are in this upper atmosphere going into the summer. So it's a great time, even if you just can go out and if you can find a safe place, put your feet in the grass. Have you ever put your feet in the grass? Barefoot. I'm going to add barefoot. It's amazing just to sit there for a moment. A lot of people can't handle that. I get that. But feel the sun go through your skin. Feel the wind dance with you. Just come across the face. So it's an interesting when we connect with nature. Your rejuvenation and inspired. Yeah, I can read today. You're rejuvenated and inspired by spending time outdoors. So many of us, I bet you, if you are a tree hugger, you actually hugged a tree, you would find out how grounded you could be. It's amazing.
And if you're not a tree hugger, you need to go and put your hands on a tree and sense its vibration.
Mm-hmm.
You'll sense that it's alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sit on the ground. Yes, Kathy. Yes, sit on the ground. I only read the root chakra.
Just
Mm-hmm.
make sure the grass is dry so you don't get up with a wet butt.
Well,
Sit
then you
on the
know your
ground,
root chakra is getting a little bit more care.
post release what is no longer needed, and renew with earth energy. That's very true.
Yes, 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 yes. So, and then the next card was holiday. Okay. The answer you're looking for can be found during a vacation, retreat, or holiday getaway. You can do this by spending 5 minutes out in nature. You don't necessarily need to go anywhere. You can go away just by being where you're at. You can picture yourself being in Hawaii, and your soul energy will go there and bring and give you the image of what Hawaii is, and you can go on there. Now, there's some of us that really want to be there physically. I get that. At the same time, though, sometimes if we're unable to do it, we can go there with our spirit, with our being, to rejuvenate ourselves. And this, I think, for you, Sue, this is what I'm feeling. This is for you. Is everything will be okay. So those of us who have our male sons, they will be okay. They're waking up to their emotions and feelings. And so us women if we can support our male side of our families with understanding that as they stretch through their emotions, that we have practiced with them, sometimes not very well, but we've practiced with our emotions, and we can support them in a little different way. Because your desired outcome is within reach. Perception will make a difference. And remember what I talked about with the energy flow. There's the tide, the current that goes through the ocean. There's the jet stream that goes through the air. There's currents. So put yourself on a current to get yourself where you're going. But remember, sometimes it's us speaking a truth to get there. Okay. So have faith as everything is working in your favor. So remember, everything is here to teach us something. Okay. What is this here to teach me? What is my perception going through this? 9/11. Every ending is a magical new beginning. And remember that a lot of us, our diets are changing. Many of us can't eat the same things that we were used to eating because our vibration of our body is changing. So check in. And sometimes we have an organ that is a little bit dancing. Like for me, I couldn't eat vinegar, corn, tomatoes, dairy. I mean, anything was throwing me off. Found out my liver was a little bit upset. Wasn't processing a lot of the things that I've gone through in my past. And so I've been talking with my liver. I've been doing my finger. Remember how I talked about fingers, holding fingers? Well, I'm doing that every night and every morning and when I can during the day. And my body is feeling more in tune. And I ate something that had vinegar in it. My ears didn't explode, feeling like they were going to explode. So as we walk and as we do things, remember, things are here to help us and support us. Finding all the sides of the story is a little bit easier to navigate through what we're going through. They must be playing with my nose because my nose is tickly.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you very much, Natasha. And if you want to get a hold of Natasha, go to angelicclarifications.com and book a session with her. So she would love to work with you.
I am so wanting to support people through their life, their struggles. And my prices are going to go up here at the beginning of July. So if you were wanting to get some of my group sessions, please book now because this will support you through life. You don't necessarily need to act on them. We can set the time up for August if you would like to, but now's the time. And also too, if my prices go up, just please interact with me. Because you never know where our story together can lead you to your possibilities. Because I've helped people through shame, troubles, tribulations, grief, a lot of things that that we struggle through with life.
And Kathy says, thank you and joy on your journey, Natasha. And Susan says, thanks, guys.
You're
So
welcome.
I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. It's about dinner time, and I've got to go have some chicken now. So I hope everybody has an awesome night. Natasha, anything last before we go?
Just remember, believe in yourself. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, then who will? And that little like fairy or the guy on your shoulder that says you can't, that you're no good, and your old stories of mom, dad, childhood, knock them off because you can. You are worthy. You can do what you want to do within reason of the law, but you can do what is your soul calling to do for your greater good. Just believe in it because they're helping you. They're helping you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Blessings to you.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.